welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us, hanging out, having a beer, some conversations. We appreciate you being here. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Tim?
You know, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good there. So, Nate, how are you doing?
You know, I'm feeling a little under the weather. I picked off over the weekend, and I have a little congestion going on. So if you hear me sound a little stuffy, it's because I feel a little stuffy.
Feeling a little stuffy. You know, I have seen that going around. It's a fellow I worked with in the day job is ill, and he was doing meetings and stuff yesterday, but he was ill to the point of like being kind of incoherent and repeating things that others said. And we're like, hey man, you may want to get a breather here. You may want to get a little bit of breather here.
So I had somebody at work that was pretty worn out to the point of like camera off and like there and responding when necessary. And I'm like, yeah, this is someone who's just crawling through the day, just trying to survive. So
yeah, he'll make it through. But I guess the old seasonal changes, that happens, that, people get sick.
That's when it gets me. So I just kind of expected it. I'm stocked up. I've got some accoutrements here, you know, the cough drops. I've got the Robitussin, and we've got some tea, so we'll get through it.
And we'll just get you to start posting the comments to the right social channel, and we'll be okay. That's all we got to do there. So he's answering people that aren't even asking.
Yeah, that was a reply all mistake.
It happens.
People on Twitch have been informed of the situation.
They have. So, but guys, you know something I'm up to these days is my doctor told me to go on a low carb, low fat, low sodium diet, which, what do you even eat? Carrots or anything? So that's about it. Actually, I've been enjoying it, trying to get more veggies in the diet, trying to eat healthy and that, but I miss sandwiches. Like I've been taking it easy on breads and pastas and rice, which I like. But I saw someone mention keto bread. And so I did a little bit of Googling around to find the best keto bread, and someone recommended this. I believe the brand is Nature's Own. And the best way I can describe it is if you got a sandwich from Subway and you ate it without taking it out of the paper that they wrap it in.
Oh, jeez.
That's what this is like. So it's like, well, it's bread-ish, but it felt, you know what, seriously, it felt like biting through a sheet of paper.
I think there's when I was kind of more into the low carb kind of thing, and I've been in and out of that over the years, never terribly successfully into it, but I guess something called lavash bread or whatever. It's like a flat bread. And I remember that being, I think it's a higher protein and lower carbohydrate, but that's the problem when you get, I don't know what it is, those carbohydrates. I don't know if it's the glutens or something like that. Whatever the heck it is, it was missing from that was missing in the taste as well. And
it was an important piece that was missing there.
It's fine. A thing you might look into, and I don't know because it's made with eggs, but they actually make tortillas with eggs now. And I've used those.
I've seen those.
They're not bad for some things. I don't know. They're not going to replace your sandwiches, but I mean, they're all right, and they're eggs. So whatever, if there's levels of fat that you're looking to avoid, it might still be in there. I think that they're not made with just like egg whites or whatever, but it's an alternative, you know. So
I saw something, I forget exactly what it was, but it was egg based. There was other stuff in there, but it was a low carb option, and you did it in a waffle iron, and it was supposed to replace your bread. But
this is interesting. So
I like eggs.
Okay,
I like eggs. I would probably be down with that. Anyhow.
Yes.
So that's my torture for this week, is avoiding carbs, but that makes it a little better when I have beers, because I can't, the beers I'm drinking aren't going to be low carb.
That's right.
So
that must feel amazing when you take that first sip and like all of the oh my goodness, carbohydrates. That's what they taste like. I forgot.
Oh, delicious, delicious carbs. Actually, the beer that I'm having this week, and we'll roll right into our beers of the week here. I'll get us started. From our friends at Six Bridges Brewing, I am having Perihelion Biogenesis, which is their hazy double IPA, a series that they do over there, the Perihelion. And this is stellar. When I took a drink of it, and remember, this is coming from someone who is generally not an IPA fanboy, but this one nails it, man. I mean, just really good tropical notes there, very fresh tasting, and the carbohydrates in this are delicious. They're just
yeah.
So
I'll bet.
Yeah, but that's what I'm drinking. Nate, are you drinking? You having hot tea and lemon this week?
Oh, I'm drinking. This is the Beer Guys Radio. This isn't Tea Guys Radio. So,
Tea Guys Radio.
For those of you who did not see me blast it out in response to Steven's question, I'm drinking Tripping Animals. For their 6th anniversary, they released a Schwartz beer in collaboration with Schilling and Human Robot. Wonderfully dark, just good roasty dark lager. And then my non-alcoholic option is ginger hot tea.
See, he was talking trash about Tea Guys Radio, but he's got the tea at the ready there. So got to do it. So.
Yeah.
Brian, what are you sipping on this week?
What was a satchel? It was like a ginger hot drink. It's not really a tea, but man, that thing is great when you're like,
I've got
scratchy.
some of that. Yeah. It's, I'm not going to say that it works miracles, but if your throat's scratchy, if you've got a little bit of a head cold, it's not going to cure anything. But I can say I've felt a little run down and had some of that and felt better. And especially if you're a little stuffy, the throat's scratchy. But Nate, you've got an Asian supermarket not far from you, but all it is it's crystallized honey and crystallized ginger, like powdered.
Yeah.
And that's it. So
yeah,
just a ginger hot drink.
Isn't that the same thing we would have in the studio?
We did have that in the season. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, those were great.
So, yeah. But anyhow, so there's a tip for everybody. And an old singer friend of mine told me about it. And she said when she was going to go on stage, if her throat wasn't right, she had some of that. And I guess ginger does something with the contracts blood vessels or something. I'm not going to try and get into the medicinal science of it because a
vasodilator or the vaso.
There you go.
Maybe what the other one is.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I think ginger helps circulation in general, and it tastes good. It tastes good. Does that help?
Spicy too? Yeah,
a little spicy. Brian, what's on your beers of the week?
So I'm not drinking the hot drink. I pre-gamed with and I found this in the back of the fridge, and I forgot I even had it. But it's a Creature Comforts Halfway Crooks collaboration called Good Cold Beer, and the Good spelled G-O-E-D. It's a Belgian style, so a Belgian style Pilsner, and that drank really, really well. It was quite nice, and I was a little concerned. I don't know exactly how old it is. I saw people drinking it on Untapped from earlier this year, so I guess not too terribly old, but drank well. And I discovered when I was out the other day doing some miscellaneous shopping that Bell's Hop Slam is out again. So I got a fresh 6-pack of that, and I am currently drinking the latest Hop Slam, which of course is a DIPA made with brewed with honey. So it's Hop Slam. To me it's very similar from one year to the next. Sometimes a little sweeter, sometimes not. This one's got some oomph to it from what I'm tasting. And if I get to it, at some point I'm probably going to get to it tonight. A North Coast bourbon barrel aged Old Rasputin 26, which is a Russian Imperial Stout that weighs in at 11.8% ABV. That also was in the new beer section, so I took the liberties of grabbing a 12-ouncer of that for the show. It might be a little much with Hop Slam. I didn't really organize this together so well, so I didn't think this wasn't really thinking it through. I was just like, this would taste good. Also, this would taste good. I'll do both. So that's what I was thinking.
I'm gonna have this chill Pilsner to start, and then after that, boom.
And then it's on.
It's on. Yes. Absolutely. Good stuff. Old Raspy's one that I think just, it used to be the hot hype beer. Everybody was always looking for Old Rasputin out there. What's the other one from North Coast? They've got one other that's, I think people chase a lot. I'm forgetting it right now, but,
I'm trying to think. They've got a Pilsner that's really popular, and Red Seal, which has a cult following, but I'm trying to think of the big ones. Yeah, I know.
Maybe I'm just thinking of Old Rasputin.
Do they have Scrimshaw Pilsner that's really, really popular? I think that's theirs.
I don't think
it's Brewery Ghost.
Yeah, it's not. Did it ever get really popular? I knew it existed, but I don't know that it ever got like a following.
I did go to a bar where their whole thing for a while was Scrimshaw Pilsner with a chaser of what's the little aperitif bottle, not aperitif, you know what I'm talking about?
The thing that Nate poured in my Bloody Mary?
Exactly, that thing.
What's it called, Nate?
Underberg. So you would do a shot of Underberg and you would drink a Scrimshaw Pilsner. And I was like, dang, this is good together. So it's forever burned into my mind that's a good combination. So.
We should do a segment sometime on the like those little traditions like that, a scrimshaw and an Underberg and that. I know I had a buddy in northern Canada, and they've got a rum up there called Screech. And so, Brian, you probably remember. I think you were here when I got the bottle of Screech, but they do something called getting screeched in, and you take a big shot of Screech and get slapped in the face with a codfish. So that's their thing. And I know there's a lot of other little, little things like that around in the drinking universe.
Is that a thing, or were you just watching an episode of Monty Python? Because that sounds like it could be just an episode.
No, this was my Canadian friend told me this was a thing. And then if you Google screeched in or getting screeched in Canada or something like that, you'll see some videos of people doing it. And it's another drink. I think it's Canada's Malort, kind of. Oh, it's like, it's a horrible rot gut rum, and they know it is, but there's still love for it there for some reason. So I really thoroughly did not enjoy drinking it, but the experience of having this, legendary Canadian terrible liquor was fun. Kind of like Malort.
My guess is there's something like that in a lot of countries. I remember reading something about that, a really just rot gut booze or something that's made in Southeast Asia. And I'm just thinking about the time I went to the Dominican Republic, where they have a thing where they just basically stuff all kinds of stuff in bottles, and they call it mamajuana. And it's supposed to be an aphrodisiac or something. It's possibly bad for you because they like wood and other things in there that may or may not have paint chips or who knows what, resins, preservatives of some kind in it. So it's if you ever go down there, you'll see it's like that'll be in every shop in various size bottles with a lot of different stuff stuffed in it. And I've heard that it's potent and it's not particularly good tasting. I think I tried it one time, like I had a taste of it, but I'd never owned a bottle. So my suspicion is every country has something that they drink more because they've always done it, and it's more on a dare than for any reason related to liking it. Yeah, it's just not very good. So
I actually saw a cologne recently that was inspired by mamajuana. I saw someone mention that, but my cousin right now is down in St. Lucia, doing a little vacation down in St. Lucia, and they've got a beer there called Piton. I'm assuming that's a Piton, which is their lager. I think most of the Caribbean countries have their local lager there, but he was not a fan. He said he didn't care for that one. But I think that's another thing, not really a drinking tradition, so to speak, but I think you go to a lot of those countries and there is like, is it Caribe is one that's popular somewhere. I mean, you can get Presidente here, but that's kind of like the beer in Dominican Republic.
The Dominican Republic, it was a big one. Caribe, actually, the brewery for that is on. It's in Florida. What's the name of the Space Coast area of Florida? I've actually been to it a few times, and I don't know. Well,
is that where it's from, or is that like a satellite location?
It might be a satellite location. It's a Caribbean thing. I don't know if that's the original location of it, though. It's probably their
Foster's, though. It's Americanized. And like, yeah, this is Caribbean.
Yeah, it could well be that.
From Detroit.
This is where they make it so they can ship it around the U.S. easily instead of putting it on a ship or something like that. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Well, guys, moving right along, the news all the time, every single week. And the latest one, again, that we've said we're not going to talk about, but it happens every week. So we keep up the news. Elysian Brewery gets shut down by AB-InBev, Brian.
Yeah. We learned about this late last week that AB-InBev was shutting down the Elysian Brewing production facility in the Georgetown neighborhood of Seattle. The initial word was that AB-InBev was moving production to another much smaller Elysian brew pub, following a $1.7 million investment in that smaller brew pub. Basically a cost-cutting move type of thing. But it turns out the timing of the closure coincides pretty closely with the production breweries union vote to strike, following a year of unsuccessful negotiations. And I think we may have mentioned that over the past year on the show. And the smaller Elysian brew pub that's taking over this production is not unionized, so it's a little sus, as the kids like to say. Yeah, a little sus. The union has since put out a statement that they believe Anheuser-Busch is retaliating against the Elysian employees for their union involvement. There is no indication yet as to what action the union might take in response, but there is a chance the story is not quite over yet. We don't have the exact figures, but the speculation seems to be that a few places that 80 to 90 employees could be affected by the closure, like some let go, some moved. It may be smaller than that, but everybody's pretty tight-lipped about the whole situation, so it's unclear. We know at least 30 plus people actually joined the union initially when they ratified. So I don't know. They're closing the whole thing down, so maybe there was the management staff that is getting let go that wasn't part of the union as well. I don't know. So it's tough to know with this, and it does seem suspicious a little bit, the timing, and there's been a lot of fighting, public fighting between the union and AB-InBev.
It's tough to call at this time the way the craft beer climate is right now if it was retaliatory. And it may have just been something that, like, hey, guys, you're going to strike. You got to time things, man. I mean, you really do. I respect if I don't know the situation there as far as how the employees were being treated. I don't know the details on what they were looking for, through the union. But if your girlfriend's about to break up with you, you don't try and throw your chest out then and be like, look, if you don't want me, just go on then. You'll be like, oh, okay, and so.
Funny, you mentioned that.
Yeah. It's like, hey, just don't, maybe now wasn't the time to strike, and looking at the climate, everything. Again, hopefully they know better, but not defending AB-InBev, definitely. But the timing makes it kind of tough to see or to say, was this retaliatory or was it just like, look, if you guys are going to strike, we can't survive this,
I saw two comments in response to this. There's a few comments on the article I was looking at. One of them is like, they need to sue, and there's an organization, there's a reason this organization, and I forget what it is that protects unions from this kind of thing. They need to sue. There's a reason this organization exists. And the next comment was, wow, what amazing timing. You win an award for the dumbest timing ever with this strike. So like there are two different points of view on this. Of like, this is not a good time to strike when people are closing everywhere and trying to cut costs. So like, it's not boom time. So there is an argument to be said there that this could just be, hey, we can't do this anymore. We need to, keep our shareholders happy type of thing. It could be that, or it could just be, screw you guys, we're done with dealing with you. I don't know.
Right. Well, Brian, I want a raise at work.
Yes.
And I'm told frequently by my boss that I'm doing a great job. They appreciate my contributions in that. But when we look at financial reports, we've had a tough couple of years. The industry's been down. I'm not going to go lobbying for a pay raise right now. Whether or not I think I deserve it, I know that things have been tough. And, I look at the numbers and, we've had layoffs. So I can say, putting all of those in there is just not the right time to do it. So
yeah,
it's something, again, I don't know the situation there. Maybe their hand was forced. Maybe they were at a point where they're like, look, we've got to strike. We can't keep doing this. And, they had to make that choice, but tough to call it as a retaliatory move or not. Well, Brian, move along. More AB-InBev news there, ironically. So this is Bourbon County beers. And I think these are ones that even the craft fanatics that do not like big beer sometimes give this one a pass. They sometimes still do seek these out. But we talked earlier in the year when they announced that they were coming about what the Bourbon County beers were going to be this year. And now that it's kind of historically, Black Friday is a release for these beers. And there's some exclusives to the hometown and different variations, but we're going to recap it again since we're just kind of right up on it. And Brian, I know you kind of looked up all the details on what the beers are and the various stats on them and that. So what do we got coming in the Bourbon County series this year?
Yeah. So like they announced that initially there was a lineup announced back in July, but a lot of information was missing. So we've got all of the details as of the latest on the Goose Island website. So we've got Bourbon County Brand Original Stout. Not too much has changed here. It's still, a blend of stouts that went 16 months in Buffalo Trace, Heaven Hill, Four Roses, and Wild Turkey barrels. The ABV will still be 14.7%. That we did know before, so Georgia isn't going to see this, and there's no indication that a lower ABV version, that is so hard to say, will be released this year. In years past, they have done this, but it's been a few years since they did that, so I don't think that's going to happen. Bourbon County Brand Vanilla Rye Stout. This was originally released back in 2014, is making a return. As the name implies, it's imperial stout aged in rye whiskey barrels, and it has vanilla beans from Madagascar in it. We now know the ABV will be 14% for this one, which will probably make this the most widely available variant. It has the lowest ABV of the entire lineup. So if you're going out looking for Bourbon County, you're probably going to find this one. And vanilla rye stout, it actually sounds pretty good. So I'm in. We've got the
Bourbon Prop, the one that's a Chicago exclusive.
It is, yeah, Proprietors.
Okay.
And I can jump over to that one. Proprietors. This year is the first time. Proprietors.
I was getting ahead of you, Brian. I thought you were talking about Proprietors. You were talking about the vanilla rye right now.
No, the vanilla rye is the one I was talking about. The Proprietors is significant changes to that. It's the first year they're using a barley wine as a base instead of a stout, and that's the one inspired by Mexican spoon candy. It's Chicago only, like you said. There still is not an ABV listed for this, and I think because it's like a Chicago-only release, you're not going to care. Just if you find it, just drink it. It's probably going to be big, but it's not really Chicago.
You know what you're getting into.
So the next one is the Macaroon Stout. It's basically intended to reproduce the flavors of a homemade macaroons made with cocoa nibs, candy ginger, and toasted coconut. This is going to be 14.6%. I was hoping we'd see it. Unfortunately, no, it's going to be too boozy. Let's see. The Bardstown cask finish. This is the elaborate the barrel aging process. Bardstown rye barrels that is transferred into hybrid oak and cherrywood barrels for finishing. This one is coming in at 16%. We didn't know. It's pretty high up there. And after that, there are a few that I think we had no information about early on. The first one is the Bourbon County Brand Rare Stout. It's a double barrel rye stout that's aged in King of Kentucky bourbon barrels. It reportedly tastes like fudge, vanilla, and caramelized sugar. And this monster clocks in at 18%, giving Black Tuesday a run for its money. That's going to be huge. I don't know what the distribution is going to be like for that. The Bourbon County Brand Stout single barrel 7-year Weller barrel is, the name indicates, it is Bourbon County that was aged in a single 7-year Weller barrel for 18 months. It's going to be a little boozier than the original. That'll be 14.9%. Since it was a single barrel, there's probably not going to be too much of this. This may be a Chicago-only type of situation. There's also a single barrel 5-year Old Fitzgerald barrel, one that's spent 19 months in there, and it's even boozier than the other one at 15.7%. So I really wish we could raise the cap and get some of these, man. They would be so great. I know some of these will probably never make it out of Chicago just because they're so limited, but man, there's so many other ones that would be so interesting to drink,
So Nate, with the beer laws, as you have distribution experience in that, can we get something here that is listed at 14%?
I believe so. I think a lot of our in-state producers just like to be on the safe side and claim that it's 13.9.
The 13.9. Right.
But oftentimes, especially when I was working for a distributor, when we got out-of-state stouts, they would say 14, just straight 14% on the label.
Okay. So maybe a little vanilla rye in Georgia, Brian.
I think that's what we're be.
Or are we pretty sure Nate with physical violence if he doesn't make a Tennessee run?
Well, that's a really good.
I was actually already thinking about driving to Chattanooga. So
I was like, Nate's probably already thinking about taking a trip up there. So
that's not a bad idea. I don't know what I'm planning on doing. I'm not going to go shopping that day, at least not for non-beer stuff. So, maybe a few things.
Hey,
but
do a Black Tuesday,
make a road
or a Black Friday. That's what
it's what they make the internet for, Brian, is Black Friday shopping.
Yeah, you know what? I could do it on my phone on the way up to get some Bourbon County
there
stuff.
You go. Yeah.
Yeah. It's man, if we could raise the cap and get some of these, it would be great. Now I know from this weekend we opened up a stout that technically should not have been sold in Georgia, and yet it was. So there is the possibility that something happens and people don't notice something and it sneaks through, but
there's a shop, and I'm not going to say who or where, that was kind of infamous for occasionally having things on their shelves that maybe shouldn't have been here. So, you know, I don't know if there was ever any issues there. Do you know the one I'm talking about, Brian?
Oh, I know. It's a little bit of a drive from me, just a slight bit.
It is. It's a bit of a drive, but, you know, it was kind of one of those things. I remember years ago when I was into cigars, there was a store in Ohio, and I can call them out now because I know they've dealt with it, called Party Source. And Party Source very frequently had cigars cheaper than anywhere else. And you'd have to call them and say, hey, I want to get a box of so-and-so. And they're like, that'll be, let's say a box was normally $260. They'd be like $215, you know, a fairly substantial savings. They'd be like, look, don't post that price online. Don't post that price, because I know at least one brand in particular, they had minimums, you know, minimum price. You can't charge less than this for this cigar. And sure enough, man, somebody goes on a cigar forum, hey, I bought them here and I only paid this much for it. And they end up getting in trouble from the manufacturer, and they don't want them to sell their brand anymore and everything. I'm like, you killed it for all of us, man. You killed it for all of us.
I think that the deals, the problem is they had great deals and people didn't know how to shut their mouth and just accept a good deal.
Of course.
I got to go brag about it on the internet. Stop it. This is why we can't have nice things. I think that because I bought booze from them as well. I think that you could buy booze and cigars. I think they stopped all of it. I don't even know I don't know. I haven't checked it. I don't buy a lot of, booze online most of the time.
Right.
But, for a while, I would go and they had great stuff, man. You could get all kinds, and people ruined it. It's like, that's.
Yeah. So if you happen to have a bottle shop that has something that they shouldn't have, just buy it and enjoy it.
Talk about it.
Yeah. You know what? Tell your friend when you see him in person, send him a text or something, but don't go put it on a forum. Don't blast folks in public.
Now, I did tell you guys where I got this particular bottle. It's not the same one, but it was a bit of a surprise to me, and I bought it purely because I'm like, ooh, that's naughty. That
made it through. We also had, what was it called?
DKML. Yeah.
DKML, yeah. So it slipped in, but they did catch that one and get it out of here. So the Founder's Malt Liquor was over the ABV limit. I don't remember what the exact ABV was, but it made it into Georgia, and I actually made it out on some... I think it was seriously like 14.1. It was legitimately just over the limit, but it was over the state limit, so technically it's illegal.
It's important to protect us adults from ourselves.
Yeah.
We can't have handle beer over 14%. If we need that, you can take that safe 19% wine or that 35% bourbon or whatever like that. Do that instead. That's safe.
Yeah.
That's 14+% beer. Too dangerous.
Terrifyingly dangerous.
Yeah.
Terrifyingly dangerous.
So bad.
And again, we had a friend who was able to snag us a bottle before the distributors came and took them all back. So it's good to know people about beer. But
people is great.
Brian, beer and the holidays, alcohol and the holidays, and friends and family go along. Why they go along with each other for good or bad reasons is really up to you. That's your choice. But you know what? Miller Lite is always there for us at the holidays with neat things to have. I think they had was it a Trap House gingerbread house one year, or a dive bar?
The dive bar gingerbread
house.
Not Trap House, but that would be, maybe that would follow up. Yeah.
They should do that. That should be it. So Firewater Brewing came in here and said regarding the ABV, there's a 0.5% legal leeway. Okay. So you can squeeze up to 14.
So 14 is legit.
5 there. So, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Firewater chime in here. I think that applies no matter what your ABV is, that your stated ABV has to be within the 0.5%. So even if you do that 13.9, if you get up to 14.4, if they were to test it, you're still going to be within the legal limit there. But going back to, was it 450 North and their smoothie beers? They were saying they were 6%. People were testing them and they're 2 and 3% because they're all fruit juice there. So interesting stuff. But back to the story, Brian. Miller Lite, the holidays, they're always doing fun and ridiculous stuff. And this year they are bringing us the Yule Lager.
Yes. So if you find yourself without a fireplace and a beer tower this holiday season, you're in luck. Miller Lite is here to help you with the Yule Lager. So what is a Yule logger, you're going to ask? Imagine a digital fireplace in a cabinet. Now imagine that's a beer dispenser that looks like a chimney. Now imagine that beer dispenser is on top of the digital fireplace. Now you have a Yule logger. It's basically a beer pouring fake fireplace in a cabinet, and it kind of stores beer, and it has stocking hooks on it. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole event. It's a fixture, a furniture piece, decorative furniture piece or something for your house. The digital fireplace displays an 8-hour fire video complete with cozy crackling sounds. The beer tower dispenses 100 fluid ounces of your favorite beer, and if you buy one, the chances are your favorite beer is probably Miller Lite. The Yule Lager does go on sale on November 22nd at shop.millerlite.com, and if you want one, you better be quick. Supplies are limited. These crazy seasonal Miller contraptions and special things, they do sell out quickly. I think by the time this drops, it may be too late, but you definitely need to head over as soon as you hear this to see if there's any left. As a consolation, if you don't get that sweet Yule Lager, you can always order yourself a Miller Lite Beernament. Yes, the Beernament is back this year. It's a Christmas decoration you can drink a beer out of, and they're selling them for $5 right now. You'll be able to also, if you didn't get your Yule Lager and you want to see that sweet digital fire, you can watch the digital fireplace video while you gently weep at youtube.com/@MillerLite. So @MillerLite.
Beautiful.
And it will play that entire 8-hour fire for you to watch on your TV or whatever that can't dispense beer. So
I have looked around and I haven't seen it, Brian. Do we see a price on the Yule Lager?
I can't find anything.
Okay.
I think it's because the sale is not out yet and none of the press releases included the actual price. I'm guessing it's so when they do this stuff, it's usually not too expensive. It's probably under cost because it's really just to get people talking about Miller Lite. So I'm guessing it's not going to be too pricey, but this one might be a little bit more than, some of the other stuff they've come out with. So
do you guys remember Natty Saurus Rex? Nate, you may not have been around for Natty Saurus.
I don't remember that. I'm assuming, is it like you could like beer box origami and create a little T-Rex?
Sort of. Even more delightful than that, Nate. So I had a buddy that worked at a distributor, and they actually had like a 3D cardboard puzzle that it was cardboard that had the Miller or Natural Light branding all over it, but it assembled into a 6-foot tall T-Rex.
Okay.
And he lived in my living room for, I guess, about a year. And then I'm like, y'all, I am way too old to have a cardboard T-Rex in the dining room. So that's right. He was in the dining room. So, I've got like, this nice Oriental rug and all these, like a grandfather clock and all these fancy things, and then a cardboard Natural Light Tyrannosaurus Rex. That was my dining room. So I put an adoption ad up online, like I was adopting a pet out, and I said, has to go to a good home and that. And someone came and got him, and they said they enjoyed him. Do you know that they ended up leaving him out in the rain and destroyed him?
Oh, man.
And I'm like, this is awful, man. This is awful. I trusted you with my great Natty Saurus Rex, and you murdered him. Horrible.
One of my favorite pictures of my wife is her being very excited with the Natty Saurus Rex.
Yeah.
There's a picture of her with it. So when you say it, like, yeah, of course I remember. It's like one of my favorite pictures of all time. So
yeah, it was good times. I mean, that was back when pre-COVID, as many cool things were, but we brewed and we got together at my house all the time, and he was a fun centerpiece for a party. That's for sure. R.I.P. Natty Saurus Rex. We'll never forget you. We'll never forget you, Brian.
P&P.
I'm going to have to look and see. The thing is, Brian, is one thing with that Yule Lager, it's a fairly decent size.
Oh, it's
like,
big. Yeah.
I want it just to kind of see it. I don't want it to become another Natty Saurus Rex hanging out in my dining room. So I probably would not buy it, but I kind of want to, just to see it.
You know what? I mean, it would make your office really cozy. Do you have a fireplace in your office?
I do not.
Well, you would. And also a beer
and a beer dispenser.
Yeah.
I'm in my team's meetings. I'll be like, if you look here, you'll see in Q1, we were 7%. Oh, just a minute. Let me get a little drink here. Let me turn this fireplace up. It's getting a little chilly in here.
Yeah.
All right, while you're doing that, just pull some of your 10 fish out of your snackle box. We get to know.
That's right. I got the snackle box, man. I could do that. I will be fully outfitted right here in the office. I should need to find me another Natty Source Rex and put him I'll set him right over my shoulder, like turn off the virtual backgrounds and just,
that's good.
And I'll just have the meeting like nothing's going on.
Because nothing is going on.
Anyhow. Good times, man.
Get him some of them, the giant shades too. The oversized shades you put. Oh yeah, it'd be perfect.
I'm gonna get him a headset, like he's in the meeting on
with
the phone.
Boom mic. And
I actually have one of those. I don't use it, so I'll give it to Natty Source Rex there. So, and I'll occasionally talk to him. I'll be like, "What?" Like, "Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great."
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Does anyone have any thoughts on that? And then just wait to see what they say. Good times. Good.
Yeah, that's great. Good stuff.
Well, Brian, before we move on to the next hot topic, how about we shout out our amazing sponsor, Truck and Tap?
Yes. So I think I am finally ready to embrace some of the interesting seasonal selections on tap now at your local Truck and Tap. So let's get right into my Truck and Tap beer picks for the week. There's still a little of that Prairie Seasick Crocodile that I mentioned last week on at Truck and Tap Woodstock, so I'm definitely getting that. It's a fruited kettle sour with cranberries, ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And I hear it pairs well with a turkey sandwich. And maybe they have a food truck serving turkey sandwiches, sometime this week. Check the website, truckandtap.com. You'll find out. The Duluth location has Weathered Souls, Still Souls on tap, which is something I can't miss. It's an oak age imperial stout, but more importantly, Weathered Souls shut down some time ago, so there won't be more of this coming around. I'm a little surprised to see it on the menu. So definitely get that if you're there. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, I'm going with Heavy Seas Red Eclipse, which is a bourbon barrel aged vanilla cherry stout. It's not cranberries, but it's cranberry adjacent-ish, and it seems kind of festive. And it's a bourbon barrel aged stout, so that's what I'm going with. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, my pick is Six Bridges Sour Continuum, the cherry cranberry cinnamon variant for obvious reasons. So, it's hard to believe that Thanksgiving is next week, and I have to keep checking the calendar to make sure that's true. But now that it is, it's got me thinking about what I'm thankful for. The first thing that comes to mind is beer, obviously. But the very next thing is Truck and Tap, right there after beer. They have a lot of great beer. It's a great place to hang out. But more importantly, they've been supporting the show from the very beginning, and we love them for that. They even let us take over half of Truck and Tap Duluth last year and stick flaming hot pokers in beer just to see what would happen. They are the best. So thank you, Truck and Tap, for your support.
Thank you so much. I, too, am thankful for Truck and Tap during these holidays.
They didn't let us take it over last year. That was in February of this year.
Oh, was it? Oh, was it this year? Oh, yeah. You know what? I lost track of time.
Close enough, but it's been a long year, yeah.
That's a good point.
We made it through those. Thanks, guys. We appreciate your support, Truck and Tap. You are the best, definitely. Brian, Vine Pair. You know what? These guys do fun articles. Shout out to Vine Pair. We appreciate it. We're going to have to do something for them because we do snag their articles a good bit to discuss because they do fun little things, fun little lists there. But the latest one, and we won't dive deep into all the info about who said what and all of that. But their latest article talks about they went to brewers and asked them what are red flags for a brewery when they enter a brewery tap room. So, Brian, what do brewers say are some red flags at a tap room?
So it's brewers plus like other industry people like marketing people and management. Yeah, beer people that are in the industry. So
all right.
The whole list is breweries in touristy areas, which is kind of like that's before you even get in there. But an unfriendly atmosphere, frozen glassware, massive tap lists, stressed out staff, only serving beer in standard pint glasses, unknowledgeable bartenders, not enough staff to handle the crowds, which means lines, dirty glassware, unpleasant smells, and a bad playlist, I guess, was one of them for somebody. So that's interesting. Right. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of the list? And do you have any red flags when you walk into a tap room or a brewery the first time? You're like, oh, that's a bad sign,
Vine Pair, if you guys are listening to us, do a green flag one next because I'd like to see the flip side of this coin. So, touristy areas, I could see that, and just because there is a general rule there, but there's also good breweries in tourist areas. Wild Leap is down in the, near Mercedes-Benz Stadium and all of that. So that's kind of a touristy area. Unfriendly atmosphere, I definitely think so. I think the vibe is what I push.
Sure.
Just the vibe of the brewery. You kind of feel that. My personal one, because I agree, I'm looking here. I agree with both of those. Two big ones for me is going to be the glassware. And, you don't have to have every single type of beer glass. Like, shout out to Brick Store Pub. They do. If you buy a beer at Brick Store Pub, you're going to get it in the proper glassware for that beer from that brewery. There's a very popular beer bar near us, and I love them. Great people in that, but they very frequently serve their beer in plastic cups.
Oh,
I don't want to pay $10 for a beer and get it in a Miller Lite branded plastic cup.
Mm-hmm.
And Firewater Brewing chimed in and said, so my beer's sold in plastic cups, unless it's to go. We have some entertainment districts near us where that's required. If you want to walk with your beer, it's got to be in a plastic cup. But if I go to a beer bar or a brewery, you got to have glassware. You just have to have it. So unknowledgeable staff, they need to know something. And another beer bar that I go to that I like, but this maybe is not exactly it, but there was one time I ordered a barrel-aged stout, and they're like, well, this is really close to it. And it was like an IPA or something. I'm like, no, those aren't close.
This is a triple IPA, so it's not at all.
You don't have to be a nerd and know as much as I do, or and I've still got plenty to learn, but know a bit about beer. I want to know that you kind of know what's going on there. You're not going to know every style, every ingredient, every adjunct in that, but you should know beer in the general sense of the word. Trying to think of any other red flags that would what my main one. Look, if I go in there and you have a bad vibe, I think a lot of breweries that kind of it just sets the tone for how they care about everything. If the vibe's bad, they don't care about their beer, they don't care about their customers. They're putting beer in plastic cups. I don't expect much out of those places.
Yeah, if they're checked out unknowledgeable or don't care, that's an indication like, you know what, these are the people that are your interface to the public. And if that's not important to you, I question what's actually going to come out of your tanks. And
Sure.
I understand like with any, the people that are like brewing savants may not be good with people and may not know how to hire those people. So I know that I make allowances, that's possible, but I also think that that's why you
hire the people that do know how to deal with
you hire those people.
Yeah,
so you can be, crazy and eccentric and do your brew. You got to hire the people that can help you do the stuff that keeps people, comfortable and happy in your place. Yeah. The frozen, I'm always amused when I go to a place and they pull out the frozen shaker pint.
I brag about them. They're proud to get.
If they do that, they're going, because it takes effort to do that. They are going to let you know that they did that. Like, we did this just for you. We got the coldest glasses this side of the Mississippi. I'm like, well done. Like that glassware won't grow mold, I guess, or something. I don't know. I look around at a place, if I'm going to hang out there for a while, and it's not a mark against the beer. I don't think less of them for the beer, but the trend of the super industrial, uncomfortable, no seating or just all metal like stools. If I see a place like that, I'm like, it's not a red flag against the beer. It's a red flag against me hanging out there. I'm like, I'm not coming back. I might, maybe if I like your beer enough to pick it up in a store, I might get it, but I'm not going to hang out there and try new things. So that's kind of a red flag for me. I want to be, if I go in, and it's the whole vibe concept, I want to be comfortable when I go in. And
of course,
I think that some of the industrial fixtures that look is kind of cool to look at. It's not comfortable to hang out for any period of time.
Right.
That's a thing for me. The bad playlist, I think, is silly because somebody was talking about, well, if I hear, I think it was 21 Pilots, well, I know I'm in the wrong place. I'm like, shut up. That's dumb. Here's the thing. If I've gone into a place that was playing extremely loud, like rage death metal, and I'm like, that's kind of not my scene, and that will be enough to make me leave early. I will tolerate it for a minute, but I'm less likely to go back. So again, that feeds into the vibe. I want to feel relaxed when I go there. I don't want to feel angry and pressured to move quickly, that sort of thing. So
I have a great example of a brewery that is stellar, but the chairs and the music is not my vibe and my cup of tea. And that is Angry Chair Brewing.
I was thinking the same place.
And you know what?
Hard on your butt.
They're hard on your butt, and they were blasting metal there. Yes. And I know there's people there that's definitely their scene, their vibe. So your opinion of a good playlist or a bad. And to be honest, I may have enjoyed the music if I wasn't trying to talk to the people next to me. That's a big thing. You know what? That's a big thing for me. Let me throw you my red flag in there. It's not necessarily the quality of the brewery, but whether or not I hang out, put some sound control in there, y'all. Put some sound deadening in that. I see stuff from the ceiling. If you're going to build your thing to look like a warehouse and you're going to have, very square angles, open ceilings and metal, get some sound dampening in there, because I shouldn't have to yell through a megaphone to talk to someone sitting across the table from me. So that's a big one for me. And music. Bring the live music out, man. Bring them out there. And I know others don't agree with this. Play them at a volume where you can hear them. But again, they shouldn't be so loud that I can't hear the person across the table from me.
So the sound treatments would really be good. I think as I get older and my ears, my hearing just isn't as great as it used to be. It's a challenge. Like some of those deafening echo chambers, I try so hard and I'm like, I get mentally fatigued trying to understand what people are saying when you've got that echoing. I understand it can be expensive and it's hard to do it right, but getting it done right where you go in and the sound is you're like calm, it's like clear, everything is clear. That's beautiful, man. That's the place I want to hang out with. Good chairs and good sound, just good acoustics. Dude, I'm going to hang out there all day long, all the time. That's fantastic. So
because you can have a place that is lively and fairly noisy, but isn't deafening. So
correct.
That's definitely possible. Nate, what's throwing up red flags for you, man?
You guys touched on a lot of good points for me. I really think at the end of the day, it's a little comprehensive if I get a non-beer clean glass, if I have to shout to talk to my neighbor, if the bar staff behind the counter is throwing a little attitude or doesn't know what they're doing. I might show up and have a beer, but it definitely won't cause me to hang out there. You have to try really hard to get me to walk in the door and just walk right out without spending at least a dime. I'm kind of surprised because we talk about this a lot and it comes up, at least with the consumer side, on a red flag. So this might be a beige flag, but, kids in the tap room. It's one of those things where we even had a story early on where a brewery came out and actually banned kids in their tap room. Some brewery, I think in Ohio or somewhere up north. And, that's a contentious enough point that I was kind of surprised to not see it on the actual list.
You know what? I'll be honest. I'm in the anti-kids camp, and I think you guys know that. I do think the anti-kids side is the minority here. I definitely think there are more people that are family-oriented that want to be able to go out. Our buddies at Round Trip, God bless them. Good people, always good to us, good beer. They just opened a second location recently. Both of the locations are awesome. The latest one is in a really lively area with lots of shopping and food and a pinball arcade, which we haven't pinballed in forever, Brian.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yes.
But it's a very family-friendly place. And that's not my cup of tea. I don't want to have the chance of toppling a toddler trying to walk to the bar.
My thought is a lot of it is the yelling. And I think you get the acoustics down. The yelling is less piercing. And that's the help us out. Like help those of us out who are, just sitting there trying to drink quietly and while the kids are running around screaming and enjoying themselves. Like the sound situation, work on the sound situation, make that less of an irritation and it won't even be noticeable. Now there's a courtyard outside and I think that's not a big deal if you're out there because the sound is great. You've got open air all over the place, but you get inside and there's a little bit of screaming and yelling and all that sort of thing. And it gets tough. I'm not trying to single out. I'm not speaking specifically about Round Trip. I love those guys and all.
Yeah,
but
nothing against Round Trip. It's just the one I went to recently that was very, very family friendly. I mean, there was a lot. And you know what, man, if I had young kids, I'd love to be able to go out someplace and just have a beer. It's hard to get away from kids and that, but I don't. So it's not. They should do it like dog parks, where like out in that courtyard, they have a fenced in area, like 20 by 20, and you can put the kids in there. So you get your beer, you sit outside, you watch them play with the other kids. If they poop in there, you take the bag and you clean up.
You throw a ball and a stick and a ball in there. They just run around. There's something to be said. Firewater Brewing was talking about knowledgeable and friendly bartenders. A knowledgeable and friendly bartender will actually keep me in an uncomfortable bar stool for longer than I normally would.
Sure.
That has definitely happened. R.I.P. Iron Hill near me, but their stools at the bar weren't that the most comfortable, but the right situation with either the bartender being friendly or some really fun people at the bar. I'd hang out there for a long time, even when my bottom was telling me it's time to leave. You're done. You've ruined me. So
Butt's totally asleep. I'll have another one.
Exactly. It's like yeah. He'll wake up eventually. He'll get over it.
Well, since Vine Pair hasn't done it yet, Brian, what's your green flags?
Oh, I would go to, man, that's interesting. So I would go the really friendly
of everything on the there.
The really friendly staff will have me coming in, and really good people, really friendly staff, really knowledgeable people will make up for less than ideal tap offerings. Obviously, like an attention to detail with glassware, like we've got specific glasses for everything. That just tells me that's the place I want to go drink. I mean like attention to detail, very friendly people, and a lot of the other stuff, I'll deal with the rest. I mean, even if they have the best glassware, but it's all frozen, like we got Teku glasses, they're the coldest this side of
I see a Teku you've
frozen Teku, like, all right, fine. All right.
Fine.
Bring it on. Bring us.
So 3 taverns put in metal detector and security at entry. And I don't know if that's their green flag or their red flag. So I'm not sure which one that is, because maybe they're like, you know what? This place is going to be lit. So, that may be their green flag. But you know what? Cheers to 3 taverns. They're turning 11 soon. 11 years old. So,
dang.
Yeah. Let us know. Is that a green or a red flag for you there, 3T? I'm curious. Okay, it's a red flag.
Oh, okay.
That's a red flag there.
Maybe a little of both. A little excitement, also a little danger. Yeah.
Yeah. Nate, how about you? What's a green flag for you?
Some of my most favorite experiences when I go into breweries is when a bartender can hold a conversation. So, we start talking about the beers, we start talking about the different styles they have. I might ask them about the history of the brewery, but then the bartender that is able to talk about themselves and maybe get into what they like and walk me through. Let's say they've got a beer on tap that I'm a little leery of, and they said, well, just go ahead and try it. And, we'll see if you like it. And then we can just go from there. I really enjoy that. I also really enjoy a tap room that, while I don't need an extensive tap list, I do enjoy a tap room that has a little bit of everything, so somebody who has a couple of IPAs, a couple of lagers, just really getting an around the beer style list, as you will, that will ensure that my butt will stay in my seat for longer than if you just have 15 IPAs.
Yeah. And you know what? Talk about the friendly bartenders and that. To all the beer geeks out there, read the room when you're talking to a bartender, because if he's super busy, don't dominate their time, because a good bartender is still going to try and stay super polite to you, even if they've got other things to do. So just be considerate, read the room there and see. But, my green flag, man, I think it's everything. It's the environment. Is the brewery inviting? Is the beer good? You know what? You got to be knowledgeable, but you don't have to know everything there. A big one for me, I want to be able to talk to the people I'm there with. That's a big one that I think as I get older, I turned to 803 this year. And, those background noises come at me now. So give me a comfortable place to chill. Give me some glassware variety. You don't have to have them all. And Nate, I'm with you. Give me a little variety. You don't have to have 50 taps. But if you've got 10 taps, make sure that's 4 or 5 different styles. So. All right. Good stuff, guys. Brian, Speaking of turning 803, the neurologists have determined an age where you should totally quit drinking in order to preserve your brain health, right?
Yes. And this article is not going to treat you well at 803 or 23 or whatever it was. So it's been reported all over. The Atlanta beer elders are also not going to enjoy this. But according to Dr. Richard Restak, a neurologist and a dementia expert, and also, I think, an author, there is an age at which you should quit drinking to preserve your neurons in your brain. And apparently that age is 65. At 65, on average, humans seem to reach some lower threshold of neuron volume in the brain, and alcohol, which is a weak, very weak neurotoxin, could lead to an accelerated neuron loss. This would impair both memory and cognitive function and could increase your risk for dementia. He also says that drinking in later years increases your risk for falls, injury severity, and can cause slower recovery for injuries that do happen. His official recommendation is to gradually reduce your drinking in your early 60s, then limit your drinking to rare special occasions from 65 onward, and plan to quit entirely by the age of 70 to preserve your mental and physical health. I don't know if I can promise I'm going to be doing this, but
you make it to 70, man. Live your life is kind of my thing. I don't know. But
I think, because we
appreciate science coming there for us.
Yeah.
And letting us know what they believe should be done. Just like any solid medical advice, most people won't listen to it. So,
probably not.
That's it.
And I probably won't either, really.
Right. Well, y'all, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. We greatly appreciate it. If you enjoy what we're doing here, we'd love for you to share it with a friend. Tell someone to give us a listen. Tell someone to come hang with us for the live stream. We always love hearing what folks are up to there. If you really dig what we're doing, then please do consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. And you know what? For like $5 a month, you can support us. We'll get you in the Discord chat. We'll send you some cool swag and we'll just have a good time. You'll get invites to the after party here to come and hang out with us. But with all that said, we hope that you all have a great week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers.